The Australian Ghost Whisperer with Caterina and James Jennings. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode. Hello Caterina.
Hello, James. How are you?
I'm good. You know what? I think this is our first episode where we actually haven't been in the same room together. So it feels a
I
little
know.
weird.
Feels strange, doesn't it?
It does. We're doing it on Zoom, guys. If you're listening to it, you're not going to be able to see, but if you're watching the video, we're in different locations at the moment. So
Mm.
yeah.
So
So
tell me a little bit about Tasmania.
oh yeah, so I went to Tasmania for work last night, and it was a really fun experience. I got to kind of go out to a place called Freycinet Bay. Is it Bay? I don't know.
Mhm.
If there are any Tasmanian listeners out there, and I got that wrong, let me know. And I apologize for being ignorant. Um, but it was stunning. Oh my God, talk about a
Mm.
beautiful part of the country and the world. But yeah, really interesting place, very ancient, sort of vibe. You know, when you go out into the country, you
Mm.
just feel like the history and the ancient sort of, there's the if the earth could speak, it'd have some tales to tell. You know what I mean?
It would, very ancient land there. Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, but we had a work dinner, and Kat, seriously, I'm shameless. Like, I bring up the topic of supernatural stuff at any opportunity.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere I go, just because I love talking about it. But the interesting thing is when you do bring that stuff up, you find that honestly, like 9 out of 10 people will have a story. They'll be like, "Oh, this happened to me," or "This happened to someone I know," or everyone's got a little story to tell about supernatural stuff. It's way
Yeah, I think everyone's had a supernatural experience at least once in their lives. At
Yep,
least, yes.
yep. And even if they don't want to call it supernatural, they go like, "Oh, this strange thing happened to me once."
This weird thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
love I love hearing people's stories, and in fact, one of the people that I met, I think I'm going to ask her to be a guest on the show, Kat, because she was like, I've been able to see things ever since I was a little kid,
Oh.
and coming here to this location in Tasmania, I can sense the First Nations spirits here, uh,
Mm.
and she spoke about being very aware of what was there and what was happening. So we didn't get to go too deep into it, but I said, I'm getting your email and we're going to chat, and
Mm.
I'm going to get you on the show. So there you go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of traveling, you went to Melbourne recently to do some, I know you did some house clearings, but we haven't spoken about it. So I'm curious what you actually did while you were there.
Yeah. I did do a very interesting one, and there was a lot of energies in the house, very old energy. It was a very old home, but it had been restored. So the people had spent quite a bit of money restoring it. It was a beautiful house.
Right.
But originally the house was over 100 years old. So there was so much history. Um, and so it felt as though when I walked in, as though the original owners were still kind of living there. Even though they died, they were like, "Oh, we loved our little home so much," and it was like I could see the house, like when I tapped in psychically, I could see it, like what it looked like 100 years old. And they were so cute, this little husband and wife. And there was like a little fireplace in the kitchen where she cooked. And it was really cute. They were a very sweet couple. And I felt as though the reason they hadn't crossed over is that they had just had such a beautiful life in that home. They were saying they'd raised all their children there, and they were so attached to this house.
Mm.
So I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be hard talking them into leaving. So I said, okay, well, where are all your children? And they're like, well, most of them have actually passed away, all of them.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wouldn't you rather be with your children than be in this home? I said, after all, it's just a home. I said, but, your connection to your children and the love you feel for them, it goes beyond this house and any love you have for this home. So so that gave them some food for thought. So they kind of looked at each other, and I think because they were husband and wife, they were just sticking together, and they were either going to agree or not agree with me.
Right. Okay.
So,
Okay.
so I was kind of like, so I sort of started to ask if, if one of their children or a few of their kids were around to maybe come through a little bit for them and show themselves.
Yeah.
So a little boy, apparently this little boy came through that had actually died when he was about, I think it was about 4 or 5 when he died, and he came through at that age. Back then, I think it was like some sort of chicken pox or something like that, because
Okay.
his face, he was showing me how his body had all these spots.
Okay.
And so I said, like, if you look up, I said, like, there's your little boy, and like probably he will take you to the rest of your children and the rest of your family.
Yeah.
And so that once they saw their child, like the joy, and I said, so it's time to go, hey, you don't need to be in this house, and the rest of the kids and the rest of your family, your mom, dad. So finally they kind of agreed, and it was lovely to see them like just extend their hand out to their little boy, and the little boy's joy of seeing his mum and dad. And
Oh,
it's always quite moving. So that was
sweet.
yeah, really sweet. And so then after that, I just really went round the rooms, and, there was still a few sort of old souls around. It's a really stagnant energy, just old, stagnant energy. I mean, obviously there'd been some hardships in that home. So I cleared all of that, and just brought in a beautiful, energy of love and peace into the house. And it just felt so warm and just gorgeous. And it was like they had renovated such a beautiful, stylish home.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that. And
Can I ask? Can I ask? Did that married couple, were they actually a bit annoyed about the renovations? Were they like, "What have you done to our house?"
they didn't seem to mind. I feel like they were very much so. They were in their own reality. So their reality is they were still seeing the home as it was when they owned it.
Okay.
They were oblivious to what had really gone on.
Okay.
Because when you pass, you just are, you step into your own reality. So they were in the reality as though felt like they were still living in that home, but in reality they weren't really as happy as what they would have been when they were physically living in their home, because there was lonely. It was like a space of emptiness, and they were kind of, cuddled up together. And I did feel at some level that there was some fear. It was like they had quite an awareness that they were somewhere that, although felt familiar, wasn't quite the same anymore. But I feel as though because they had been there for so long and they were kind of sticking together, it was like all they knew, and they weren't moving out of that state of awareness, because their state of awareness was, we're here by this fire where we used to sit all the time, and therefore that's all they kind of experience. Now, I know it sounds kind of crazy, hey, but you got to think that there's
Nothing sounds crazy.
no time any longer. So what may appear to us that 80 years had passed, 70 years, whatever, for them, they were still in that moment.
Yeah, right. And I'm curious about the homeowners as well. Like, did they?
They sensed them. They sensed they sensed it. They were quite intuitive couple, and they sensed it, that there was people there that it's like, oh, I just feel this old energy. And she said, I reckon it was the original owners of this house, and they're still here. And I go like, yeah, you're bang on. And often people will sense it and feel it. You become very connected to your home, and I think that in itself allows you to be able to kind of really sort of feel and sense at a deeper level what's really going on.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. So,
mm.
so was anything? I mean, if they sort of intuitively picked up that they felt like there was something there, but did anything happen, like with things getting knocked off shelves,
Well,
or?
yes, but also they were feeling quite tired and drained. They were feeling always like it wasn't their space, you know. And I've said this previously, you know, unfortunately, when you do have lost souls in your environment, they do absorb the life force of the living people, the physical people, because that helps them to kind of remain within that environment. It's
Yeah.
like a battery. You're like a battery for them, you know, where they can kind of plug in a little bit and sort of get some life force and be able to continue existing in the 3D reality. So
Yeah.
they were feeling, you know, quite anxious and feeling tired and exhausted, and just a feeling of like, you know, I feel like we're always being watched, or that there's, you know, there's other people living in this home. It's not really our home.
Uh,
And so these are some of the symptoms people will say. And some people, you know, I've been to homes where people are completely creeped out and they're so scared, and they've felt things and seen things being, objects being thrown or moved around, or felt, you know, people touching them while they're asleep. And they're so creeped out. And I don't blame them. I mean,
yeah.
it's pretty scary when you've got, you know, you're fast asleep and you feel something's touching you and you don't know, has someone broken in or
I know.
what the
I've had that
heck's
happen
going on?
plenty of times. I've had that happen so many times.
Yeah, of course.
It's
You're
never.
the prince of, you're the diva of being haunted. I've never met anyone like you who consistently is haunted. Yeah.
I still can't figure out why it happens so
I
much.
think because it's your fear so great that you keep attracting it. And see, this is what happens. Once you
Really?
get into, yeah, once you get into a space of fear and you just, you go to bed probably a little bit unconscious, you think, oh God, what's going to happen tonight? Then
Mm,
that attracts it. Whatever
right.
we fear, we tend to attract more of.
Okay.
But if you go to bed feeling quite calm and, you know, having the faith that you are protected, I mean, you will have a better time. But then again, if you're living in an environment that's haunted,
Mm,
you know, it doesn't matter how, well, how much protection you've put around yourself,
yeah.
you're going to feel it, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I
There's
mean,
no denying. Yeah. These people too, their television kept switching off and on. Even through the night, apparently the television was switching on and off.
yeah. Right. I mean, you've said to me in the past as well. It's not even that like my place is haunted because I don't think it is. But like
Your
I,
place isn't haunted. Oh my gosh, I've cleared it that many times. It's you. Your head is haunted. Your mind is haunted. Your brain is haunted. You just go to bed and all you tick, 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 tick.
no, no.
I've never cleared somebody's home as many times as I've cleared yours, James. I generally would clear a person's home once, and I might hear from them 10 years later, or
Yep.
some a few years later, because they've got a lot of people coming through, a lot of traffic, parties, and they think, oh, I want to have it freshened up.
Yep.
But you are something else.
I know. I'm the magnet. But
Fear
you,
based.
what'd you say?
It's all fear based.
Really? Because well, you have said in the past as well that like because I live in an apartment block, that apartment blocks have a lot more energy in them, and that
Well, this is true, but then, you know, I have set up boundaries to block.
yeah,
You know, I have put like walls, psychic walls of protection around you.
I really got to sort my
Um,
block out, don't I?
and, you know, and I think I honestly believe that you're someone who should be living, you need to be grounded. You need to be living in a house
Yeah.
where you will feel grounded. I don't think apartment living is for everybody. It's not suitable. I really struggled living in apartments. I really, really did, because it's like you're constantly feeling like you live in this huge house with how many other people? Because just because there's a wall between yourself and other people, but
Yeah.
energy travels. So you're always constantly you're walking through the hallways, and there's energy in hallways, there's energy in the stairs or the lifts, or energy floating in, you know. So for me, I've always really struggled in apartments, and I think that you're the same.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
really felt the difference once I finally got out of that apartment living and, lived in a home. I live in a home now where I feel so much more grounded, and it does make such a big difference.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you're just, if somebody's very sensitive, they will somewhat struggle living in apartments or even those cottages that are kind of stuck together, where you're
Oh, yeah.
sharing the
Oh,
same walls.
yeah.
Those situations often, it's really hard energetically to divide yourself from people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Well, if
mm.
anyone's listening or watching and they feel really sorry for me and they want to buy me a house to relieve me,
Yeah, maybe we
I,
should set up like a fund, GoFundMe for James so he can buy a house.
yeah, and sleep peacefully at night. No more
Because he's
ghosts.
getting haunted in his apartment.
Doesn't even, and it doesn't matter
Being
if
haunted.
exactly, and it doesn't matter if I get given a haunted house because you can come and clear it. Just the one.
Yeah, I think once you're in your house, it's so much easier because you're surrounded by some sort of land, you're grounded, you're in it,
Yeah,
and it really does. I think it suits most people that are quite intuitive and
yeah,
quite
I would agree.
sensitive.
I would
Mm.
agree with that. So you cleared the haunted house.
Mhm.
Was there anything else in that house, or were there any other houses that you did while you were
No,
there?
I did a business for a lovely client of
You cleared
mine
a
who was
business.
having trouble with a this was in Sydney.
Right.
Yeah, with a landlord who was just putting a lot of bad energy on these people.
Okay.
And they're lovely people. I mean, there was no dramas with them paying rent and everything. But I feel like this landlord sort of kind of wants them to leave, wants them out. He has other ideas for his premises. So he was putting a lot of just bad energy and thoughts and almost cursing their businesses. And she said, look, our business is at a standstill.
Yeah.
We're not selling anything. They sell products.
Hmm.
So, and it was, and after I, went in and cleared it, I could just feel his energy everywhere, like just his thoughts and his eyes and just
Hmm.
his dislike of them. So I cleared all of that. And yeah, and they've been going really well. She's like, oh my God, it's like a miracle. We've had people coming through and buying our products again. And so things have been flowing really well. I still feel, and I've said this to them, I think maybe eventually you should still look for something else in the future once your lease is up, because people like that, they're always going to be a problem.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I do a lot of business clearings for people. I find that people always find that their businesses really take off after a good clearing. Because again, that stagnation, if you've got a business where people are coming in and out, everybody's bringing their stuff in and a lot of emotions and stuff, and people have a lot of issues within their businesses. So I find that clearing businesses really helps with
Yeah.
lifting the vibration, and helping things to flow better and bringing in the abundance and prosperity.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I mean, I'm sure that, people listening and watching will be curious about what you're talking about, but
Mm.
having experienced what you do like firsthand, there's no way to actually convey it with words. It's a
It's
feeling.
transforming energy. So for me, it's like I go into a space, I see what's going on, and I
Mm.
transform the energy from negative to positive.
Yep.
Within that transformation of energy, I also need to clear any souls that are trapped in the energy, any curses, any sort of voodoo, thought forms, all of that stuff. That's all part of transforming. And when you change the energy and you uplift it, things get moving, things start moving again, things start progressing, and people feel good.
Yeah. You are aware how incredible it is that you can do this, right? Like,
I think because I've been doing it for so long, and it was something that I was taught by my own you know, my guides, my spirit family taught me this work. And you know, I just feel like it was something that came very natural for me. I know there's a lot of people out there doing courses and courses and courses. I believe it's a real skill to be able to transform and change energy.
Really?
And you know, again, if people go in there and don't know what they're doing and don't know how to hold things together, it can get really out of hand. It can turn really ugly. You can't go into a house that's haunted and not know how to deal with those spirits, you know, and just sort of you know, stir it up. And then if you haven't done the job properly, then you're going to leave a lot of issues behind, because some of those spirits can become quite upset and angry and become more prevalent.
Yeah.
Which has happened to people. I've gone to people who've had other people go there, have done the most stupid things and just stirred up their environment and made their issues a lot worse.
Yeah.
You've got to know how to hold the energy and be able to work through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I love this work. I find it very, very rewarding and satisfying. It's really nice. People kind of go, you know, like my client was like, oh my God, like the business is really, you know, picked up and we're doing so well. People are coming through again. And, you know, people in their homes like, oh, I finally feel at peace at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real privilege and an honor to do this work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, look, it certainly changed my life. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
I've already
I
talked.
know. You just need to get out of apartment living.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. We're going to set up I don't know, what, a GoFundMe.
You'll go fund me for James to buy a house. Gosh, you're going to need a lot of people. You're going to have
I'm
to
going to need
do.
a lot of, well, considering I live in Sydney, I'll need a lot of people. Yes, lots.
You've
Um,
got to get out of the city, James. And again, the cities don't suit everybody. And
no,
especially if you are a sensitive, you know, the cities are congested with so much more people.
yeah.
There's not enough space. There's congested energy.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like I know in my heart that the city's not for me long term. Like I know that at some point I've got to get out. But I mean, I'm you know for various personal reasons I'm tied here at the moment.
I know, yeah, I
But
understand.
you know when that changes, when that situation changes, I think I'll be coming to I'm going to come move to your hood, Cat. We'll be neighbours.
Oh God, yeah. I love the mountains. Just
Beautiful,
beautiful.
beautiful part of the state.
Just being near nature, being able to go for walks in the trees in nature is so healing. And I feel like that's how I can recharge my battery to go out and do this work.
Mm,
You know, I know what it's like. Like I was a single mum raising my daughter, living in an apartment in the inner west.
yeah,
And it was really hard to find that space somewhere to be able to recharge and, you know, be close to nature. And you know, we used to go to the beach and do stuff like that. But yeah, you had to jump in a car and kind of go somewhere, whereas here you just cross the street and
yeah.
you're in bush.
Well, so I grew up in the country, and anytime
Yeah,
I leave
see,
the city
yeah.
and I go to the country, like if
Mm.
I go back home to where I grew up, if I even when I
Oh,
went
that'd be
to Tasmania,
beautiful. Orange,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like in Tasmania when you get
Mm.
that whatever the vibe is in the country, which is a bit slower and a bit more
Mm.
less hectic, I just resonate with it so much.
Yeah, see, that's why you really are struggling with apartment living in the
Fine.
city.
Yes, yes,
It's and there's a lot of people. I have lots of clients with the same struggle, and it's like, oh, I have to do this because, and I know I had to do it too until my daughter was old enough to go do her own thing. And
yeah,
yeah, you got your responsibilities. Like we've put these kids here, we've brought them into this planet, and we've got to kind of see them through. And then once you've seen them through,
yep.
and then you can finally be free and move, and then you need to make an appointment to actually see your kids because they're too busy. It's like you forgot all the sacrifice that I've done. And it's like, no, I can book you in on such and such a date or
Oh
such and such.
God.
But, you know, it would only be for such and such a time.
Oh,
That's what
Caterina.
happens.
Caterina, like we've got each other, Caterina.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? On that note, I think we might wrap up this episode.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Please subscribe, hit the
Yes.
like button, help us to grow.
Help us to grow. Get us out there. And
Yeah, please like share. If you know that there's people who are interested in spiritual things, share, share it, share.
indeed, please do. Well, yeah, great catching up, Kat. And I'm no doubt. Well, we've got some episodes we're going to be doing together soon. So
Mhm.
we'll look forward to doing that.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you, James. Have a lovely evening. Put your
Thanks.
feet up. And thank you, everybody. Blessings for the week. Bye.
Everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye. To gain access to private spiritual development classes, guided meditations, and live Q&As with Caterina, please visit www.patreon, that's patreon.com/The Australian Ghost Whisperer.